Hey friends, it's me, Pastor Doug, with another word of encouragement for the day for today, Wednesday, October 6th. And today's word comes out of the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 1 through 6. And in it, we continue our exploration of the theme of unity and reconciliation. In fact, if you were with us last Sunday, you heard my friend Charles talk to us about the fact that God cares for people, that God changes people, that God unites people, and that God reconciles people. And we see all of that in today's passage. Listen as I read. This is Acts chapter 2, verses 1 through 6. This is the day that the Holy Spirit came on the church. When the day of Pentecost came, they, the Christians, the believers, were all together in one place. And suddenly, a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. And all of them were filled with the Holy Spirit. And listen, they began to speak in other languages as the Holy Spirit enabled them. Okay, so let me just make sure that you get the scene here, right? So the first few followers of Jesus are gathered together in this room and they're praying and they're worshiping, and suddenly this sound like a blowing of a violent wind comes rushing through. They see little tongues of fire kind of above everyone's head, right? And then all of a sudden they began to speak, almost spontaneously began to speak in other languages as the Spirit of God enabled them. So this beautiful sort of expression of the Holy Spirit. Now listen to what happens next. Now, there were staying in Jerusalem, which is where the believers were all gathered together. They were in a room in Jerusalem. And it says that while they were staying in Jerusalem, God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven were there. When they heard this sound, in other words, the sound of these Christians speaking in other languages, a crowd came together in bewilderment, listen, because each one heard their own language being spoken. So listen, there's a lot of talk about tongues, speaking in tongues, and whether or not, are Christians supposed to speak in tongues today? Is that just a gift that was for the early church? Should every Christian be able to speak in tongues? That's not even really what I want to get into today. The point of this passage isn't just about this sort of charismatic gift that enabled them to speak in tongues. It was the fact that the gospel got proclaimed in other languages. And there were all these people that were in the city of Jerusalem that had come to Jerusalem to celebrate a festival. And they'd come from all other different countries, so all different ethnicities and racial backgrounds and skin colors, right? They're all gathered together in this city. The Holy Spirit comes on the church and they begin to proclaim the gospel of Jesus in all of these different languages so that all of these different diverse people from all over the world heard the gospel. And if you continue reading the passage, you get to the point where Peter stands up, preaches a message to them, and over 3,000 of them get saved. And presumably, they go back to their hometowns and their villages and the other countries, and they begin to continue to share the gospel with them. Friends, this is the moment that the gospel began to get sent out all over the world. And it's a beautiful depiction and description of the beautiful diversity of the church. And it reminds us that God cares for people, that God changes and transforms people, and that from the very beginning, God has been uniting people and reconciling people. So friends, be encouraged as we continue to live out this mandate of being unifiers and reconcilers. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.